Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal, the pain of someone's harsh words, or the heartbreak of being let down by someone you trusted? We all have. But what if I told you there's a way to live without being emotionally shaken by anyone, no matter what they do or say? Today, we are going to uncover the secret to emotional immunity, the key to protecting your peace, your mind, and your heart. The problem we are going to solve is one that almost everyone faces: being hurt by others. Whether it's friends, family, colleagues, or strangers, their words, actions, or attitudes often affect our happiness. By the end of this video, you'll understand why you don't need to rely on anyone else for your emotional stability, and how to safeguard your inner peace. One of the first steps to never being hurt by anyone again is realizing a profound truth. The way people treat you is a reflection of who they are, not of your worth. Most of us live our lives carrying the weight of other people's opinions, actions, and judgments. We take their words personally, internalize their criticism, and replay their mistakes or betrayals in our minds. But here's the secret: what someone says or does is always about them. Their insecurities, their limitations, their fears, not about you. When someone criticizes, deceives, or hurts you, it does not define you. It defines their state of mind, their perspective, and their inability to act with clarity or kindness. Understanding this gives you a perspective that is liberating. You no longer need to take on the emotional burden of someone else's negativity or mistakes. The anger, jealousy, impatience, or ignorance is theirs to carry, not yours. You are not the problem simply because someone chooses to act poorly. Imagine standing in the rain without an umbrella. If you don't understand why it's raining, you might blame yourself for getting wet. But the rain falls because of the weather. It has nothing to do with you. People's words and actions are like that rain. They may affect your surroundings temporarily, but your peace only breaks if you choose to let it. The moment you understand this truth, you stop reacting automatically to every slight or criticism. You start observing with calmness rather than taking offense, and slowly, emotional immunity begins to form. This understanding does not mean you condone bad behavior or allow abuse. It simply means you do not internalize the negativity of others. You respond from a place of clarity rather than from a place of hurt. You learn to separate your value, your peace, and your happiness from the fluctuating moods or opinions or actions of others. And when this separation becomes second nature, you gain a freedom that many people spend their entire lives chasing: the freedom to remain unshaken no matter what the world throws at you. At first, it may feel unnatural. You might catch yourself reacting the old way, taking offense, feeling upset, or reacting offense, feeling upset, or replaying an incident in your mind. But every time you pause and remind yourself that this behavior reflects them, not you, your heart begins to heal faster. Your mind grows quieter, more composed. You start seeing relationships, conflicts, and interactions as mirrors of others rather than judgments of your worth. And as this awareness deepens of your worth, and as this awareness deepens, the first layer of protection against being hurt by anyone ever again forms the second step: to never being hurt by anyone ever again is learning to value yourself from within without needing approval, recognition, or validation from others. So often we allow our self-esteem to be dictated by the way people treat us. A kind word can make us feel good for a day, while criticism or indifference can shatter our mood for weeks. But the truth is, no one has the power to define your worth unless you give it to them. When you depend on external validation, you hand over the keys to your happiness. Every opinion, every judgment, every action of others becomes a potential source of pain. You become like a ship tossed in the waves, controlled by forces outside your control. True self-worth comes when you anchor yourself from within, when you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you value. No one's words can shake your confidence. Their praise becomes a bonus, not a requirement. Their criticism becomes information, not a verdict on your life. Developing this kind of self-worth is not about arrogance or distancing yourself from others. It is about knowing that your value is inherent, unchanging, and not negotiable. It comes from reflecting on your actions, your intentions, your character, and your personal growth. When you measure yourself against your own standards and progress rather than someone else's approval, the opinions of others lose their power to hurt you. Consider how often you are hurt because you expected someone to behave in a certain way or to acknowledge your efforts. These expectations or to acknowledge your efforts. These expectations stem from needing their validation. By shifting your focus inward, you remove the attachment to outcomes controlled by others. Your peace, joy, and self-respect become yours to maintain, independent of anyone else. You start to notice a profound shift. You can celebrate your achievements without needing applause, navigate setbacks without guilt, and move through life without the fear of judgment. It takes practice and Perhaps your mind will resist at first, still seeking approval and fearing disapproval. You might feel a strange emptiness when the usual external recognition isn't there, but that is a sign that you are learning something valuable, the power to hold your own heart and mind. Every time you consciously choose to validate yourself rather than wait for others, you build a stronger foundation of emotional immunity. You create a shield that no harsh words, betrayal, or criticism can penetrate. When your self-worth becomes independent, you no longer live to please others, nor do you react to their negativity with pain or anger. You become the master of your emotional world. And with this mastery, you take a giant step closer to the ultimate freedom, a life where no one can hurt you because your inner foundation is unshakable. Another secret to never being hurt by anyone, again, is understanding the power of expectations and the pain they bring when unmet. Most of the suffering we experience in relationships, friendships, or even casual interactions stems not from what others do, but from what we expect them to do. We expect respect, loyalty, kindness, or understanding. And when people fail to meet these expectations, we feel disappointed, hurt, or betrayed. But here's the truth. Expectations are often invisible chains we place on ourselves, giving others the unearned power to control our emotions. When you expect someone to behave a certain way, you are unconsciously giving them authority over your happiness. Their actions or inactions become a measure of your peace. If they disappoint you, you feel pain. If they ignore you, you feel unworthy. The more rigid your expectations, the more vulnerable you are to hurt. But when you let go of these expectations, you reclaim that power. You accept people as they are, not as you wish them to be. You see them clearly without filters of hope and interact without conditions that tie your emotions to their behavior. Letting go of expectations is not about giving up or becoming cold. It is about understanding the natural limitations of human behavior. People have their own struggles, priorities, and perspectives. They will not always act as you wish, and that is not a reflection of your worth. By releasing balloons on the street, by releasing expectations, you stop taking their choices personally. Their inability to act perfectly, to meet your unspoken needs, or to behave with absolute kindness does not define your value or your peace. This shift in perspective transforms every interaction. You no longer wait anxiously for validation, approval, or appreciation. You no longer carry resentment when someone acts selfishly or thoughtlessly. Instead, you observe, respond consciously, and protect your emotional space. Life becomes lighter because you stop investing energy in controlling others or hoping they will meet your invisible standards. Your energy is spent nurturing your own growth, joy, and inner calm. At first, letting go of expectations can feel strange or even uncomfortable. Your mind might resist reminding you of all the times you were let down or suggesting that people should behave differently. But every time you pause and release the need for others to act a certain way, you reinforce your emotional independence. You are training yourself to find stability from within rather than from the unpredictable actions of others. When this becomes a habit, hurt loses its grip on you. You stop being a hostage to other people's moods, mistakes, or choices. You interact with the world from a place of clarity and peace, free from the unnecessary suffering that comes from unmet expectations. And as this understanding deepens, you take another vital step toward the ultimate secret. A heart and mind that cannot be shaken, no matter what anyone says or does. The final step to never being hurt by anyone again is mastering the delicate balance between detachment and compassion. Detachment does not mean indifference or coldness. It means creating a safe emotional distance so that other people's actions, words, or attitudes do not control your inner peace. Compassion, on the other hand, allows you to remain kind, understanding, and humane toward others, even when they act in ways that could hurt you. When you combine these two, you achieve a powerful state of emotional immunity. Many of us mistake attachment for love or connection. We feel responsible for others' actions or emotions, believing that their happiness or behavior defines our own worth. When someone betrays, criticizes, or disappoints us, we feel hurt because we have tied our peace to them. Detachment teaches us to untangle that bond. It is about observing without absorbing, interacting without clinging, and responding without losing yourself in the process. You allow people to be who they are without taking their imperfections personally. Compassion ensures that detachment does not turn into bitterness or anger. You do not detach to punish or judge. You detach to protect your inner world while still recognizing the humanity of others. A person may lie, criticize, or behave selfishly, and you can observe this without letting it wound you. You acknowledge their struggles, limitations, and choices, but you do not let them define your emotional state. This balance allows you to maintain integrity, kindness, and empathy while remaining unshakable. Practicing detachment with compassion requires awareness and discipline. Your mind will try to pull you into old patterns, anger, resentment, or emotional reactivity. You might feel guilt for not caring enough or question whether detaching is the right choice. But the truth is, detachment is an act of love for yourself. It preserves your energy, your clarity, and your ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. Compassion ensures that this self-protection does not become a shield that isolates you completely, but a lens through which you can engage with the world consciously and wisely. The beauty of this approach is that it frees you from the unpredictability of human behavior. No longer are you tossed by the waves of others' moods, criticisms, or mistakes. You navigate life with calmness, grounded in your own sense of worth and understanding. You can maintain relationships without giving away your emotional sovereignty. You can care deeply without being consumed by someone else's shortcomings. When detachment and compassion become your natural way of being, you reach a state where hurt cannot touch you. Words, actions, and betrayals slide past like raindrops on a lotus leaf. They touch the surface but do not penetrate. You remain whole, centered, and peaceful. And in this state, you realize the ultimate truth. Emotional freedom is not about controlling others. It is about mastering yourself, protecting your heart, and moving through life with clarity, kindness, and unshakable inner peace. The such weapon balloons on the street and unshakable inner be hurt by anyone again does not lie in changing others. It lies in mastering yourself. It begins with understanding that people's actions reflect who they are, not your worth. It grows, reflect who they are, not your worth. It grows when you build self-worth from within, independent of praise, criticism, or approval. It deepens as you release expectations, freeing yourself from the pain of disappointment. And it reaches its full strength when you practice detachment. T with compassion, protecting your peace while remaining kind and humane. Heart only reaches you when you give it permission. By anchoring your happiness and stability within yourself, you create an unshakable foundation that no words, betrayals, or actions can disturb. Life becomes lighter, relationships clearer, and your heart stronger. You no longer react impulsively to negativity. Instead, you observe